Hey everybody, it's time not for a review, but for a list of the top 10 best One Direction songs of all time. No help needed for this list, I got this thing on my own. I am a convert, for those of you who don't know. For the past few years, I've been fighting, giving in to the band that is One Direction. I've said no, these guys are a disgrace to boy bands, and then the boy bands of my generation are so much better, which is true. But I realized the reason that I didn't like these guys was so dumb, and you know what? I've just decided to go ahead and give in, and well, dead nabbit, I like One Direction. They're just so dang catchy. They're so adorable. No homo. But hey, you know what? This is a list of the top 10 One Direction songs, in my opinion. I bought all 4 albums. I've given all 4 albums a few listens through, a couple more than others, because a couple of them are just so earworm and so addicting. And these songs are based on not chart position, not album sales, not YouTube views, but you know, a culmination of songwriting, of execution, technicality, concept, and you know, more overall accessibility. So let's get this thing underway, shall we? Coming in at number 10, one of their first singles, I believe their first hit over here, One Thing. Why is One Thing so low, one might ask? Well, I think we can all admit that the first few singles that 1D gave us kind of blended together. They had a very similar dance pop sound. But One Thing, actually the first One Direction song I ever heard, I think, you know, is a little bit catchier than What Makes You Beautiful. It's a little bit catchier than Live While We're Young, in my personal opinion. And I think it's just got a nice hook. I think it was a very marketable song. I think it was a pretty decent debut for a band in this vein, and you know, it's just an upbeat, good song, and it's very fun. So I think it's fair that this song come in on the list at some point. Number 9, another song off their first album, Up All Night, Gotta Be You, the second track on the first album. Why is this song on the list? Well, because, you know, it gives us some things that you wouldn't really expect to hear on a debut album, especially from a band being so young and so unpolished, or not as polished as they could be. There's some very lush and airy strings throughout this thing, some nice crisp dance snares, and moreover, what really made this song win me over was just the very crisp and delicate falsetto that is provided here in the chorus. It's just really pretty, and this is something that you would expect more from like a second album from a band, but Gotta Be You is just a really nice, pretty love anthem, and I think it's a little bit of an underrated 1D track. Number 8, one of the more recent singles from their newest album, 4, Steal My Girl. This song starts out with some just awesome arena rock kind of Journey / Night Ranger-esque piano chords, kicks in with some big group clapping and some bass, and then bounces back between that classic rock sound and some acoustic picking with some very delicate vocals. And it's a very it's a sweet song. It's such a sweet concept, and you know, basically just says, this is my girl and y'all can't have her. Love you, babe. And I think it sticks out a little bit more than some of the singles we've heard in the past half year or so. So it's Still My Girl. Gotta be on here. Number 8. Keeping with one of the songs off the recent album 4, Night Changes, coming in at number 7. This song is on here just because it's a lot more storytelling and conceptual. It's very pretty. You know, with this more recent album 4, 1D kind of you know, skewed away from power pop and dance music and ventured more into the light rock and indie side of the spectrum, and actually pulled it off really well and really evolved from Midnight Memories to this album. There was a lot of evolution here, but Night Changes is on here, one, because of the song concept, and just because it's so such a sincere sentiment, and also because there is a nice key change, which I don't believe I've actually heard on a 1D song until this track. You know, and the way the key change is done is very nice. Some Very pretty delicate guitar strumming and vocal harmonization. The vocals just kind of float over one another on this track and the key change, and I think they really did a nice job at pulling this off. Number 6, wait for it, number 6, Story of My Life. Oh my goodness. Why is Story of My Life so low on this list? Hey, well, at least it made the dang list. Story of My Life, to me, is the first single from 1D that proved they could do more than just teeny bopper music. This song ventured a little bit more into a song with a concept. It has a little bit more depth to it, and it was the first single really to kind of do that for them. And it also showed that, hey, they could, if they wanted to, pull off more pop rock sounds instead of just, you know, dancey synth stuff. And there are some really pretty background vocals on this as well, especially really nice harmonies in the last refrain of the chorus on this song. And, you know, the kind of folky guitar picking that's been really trendy for the past couple years in this thing sounds nice with their vocals. And I think this is one of their better radio singles. Number 5, we're going to jump back to the first debut album with the song Taken. Who do you think you are? Who do you think I am? This song is on here because it was kind of the first moment that 1D gave us where you could see them being able to pull off the singer-songwriter style of music really well. This thing has more live instrumentation with the drum sets and the strum guitars. This song actually kind of sounds like something that I think had this song been released like 10 years ago, it definitely would have been a hit. It sounds something that's more like in the Matt Nathanson, B.B. Mac kind of vein. And also the concept, you know, pretty basic and something we've all gone through, I think, at one point or another, but something that rings true. Hey, you only want to be with me because now I'm with someone else. That whole I want you but no one else can have you thing. And very good singing on the chorus on this thing too. Very, very catchy as well. Number 4, one of their more recent songs again, the song Fireproof. Man, this song freaking grows on you. Just some nice, very slightly distorted guitars to kick this thing off. The way the bass guitar and the snare play off each other in the verses, just awesome. A very catchy hook, giving us again more of a light rock feel as opposed to just straight teen pop music on this thing. And I mean, after you listen to this thing probably just 2 times, it will be stuck in your head and you'll find yourself humming or singing it at some point. Just very, very nice song. Number 3. The number 3 best One Direction song of all time, Little Black Dress off the Midnight Memories album. Holy cannoli. This thing, first of all, is very rockin'. This is the first time 1D gave us like a really good classic rock vibe. The guitar tones on this thing kind of remind me of a Billy Squier tone, in all honesty, a little bit. I think had this song come out in like between like 79 and 82, it would have been a hit. It's got kind of like a Joan Jett or Cheap Trick with a little bit of the Romantics thrown in kind of feel to it, and it's just and also it's kind of fun to hear them talk about this girl walking in the room and saying, look at the little black dress, and instead of talking about the girl, they just address the girl as Little Black Dress, as if that's all they can see is this dress. So it's a very fun, it's a very rockin' song too, all live instrumentation. If you haven't given that song a listen and you're a 1D fan, check into it. It'll blow your speakers. Number 2 1D song. This thing is slowly giving some competition to become my favorite One Direction song, Stockholm Syndrome off their new album 4. Holy moly. This song, this is just, I mean, 1D really shows how mature they can be with their sound. This thing, in all honesty, has a pretty big new wave feel to it while also sticking true to the modern landscapes of pop music right now, but a lot of 80s nostalgia on this thing. I like the distorted yelps in between the verses. You know, I love the, you know, the triplet and 6/8 feel with the guitars on this thing. This song actually reminds me kind of like something the Police would have done back in the 80s. It honestly has that vibe. And the song concept is also pretty nice. Stockholm Syndrome, as we all know, is something that happens when hostage victims or kidnapped victims develop kind of a loyalty and a love for their the person that captured them, and that's what we kind of have here, is this I can't escape from the person who's constantly breaking my heart, and kind of a sad song, and I think the screams in between the verses kind of help relay that agony within the heart. Alright, here we go. Number one favorite One Direction song of all time, one that I've actually been familiar with for the past 3 years or so. The only song from their second album that made it onto this list. Are you ready? Are you ready for it? And fits in mine like it's made just for me, but bear this in mind, it was meant to be. Woo! Little Things by One Direction. You know what? This song right here, this song is really the first purely acoustic song that is given to us from 1D off their sophomore album that came out the same year as their debut album. This song was written by Ed Sheeran, and I think that's part of why it's so great and so unrepentantly sappy and lovey-dovey. But this freaking thing pulls on your heartstrings. It is such a nice love song. These guys do it great. You know, even though they didn't write it, they execute it very nicely. There's some great singing on this thing, especially on the last verse of the song where they all come together and harmonize for the chorus. It's a very, very tender and very vulnerable song. They have a little bit more talent than I think some of us give them credit for. I'm not saying that they're by any means like a Boys to Men. You know, they're not. Their harmony isn't great. They're not, you know, super duper top of the line boy band like a Backstreet or an NSYNC, but they do have a lot of potential, and this album, I think, also kind of lets us know, hey, they should do an acoustic album. That would sound really, really good. Little Things, I think, is the best One Direction song of all time, just because it's so organic, it's so sweet, and just so... Oh my goodness, I can't wait to sing this song to a girl at some point. Make fun of me all you want in the comment box below for being a dude who made a list of the top One Direction songs of all time. Let me know what your favorite One Direction song is. Who's your favorite member? These are all things that I'm curious to know about. What other lists do you want to see me make? What other 1D lists or music reviews? Things like that. Hit me up on Twitter if you have something you want reviewed. Yada, yada, yada. Hey, you're insecure and I don't know what for. So live while we're young. I don't know what is going on right now with One Direction.